It is time for another live stream. This is a live episode of Wolves and Finance. We're going to have our normal Sunday video out this weekend, but I wanted to do something midweek and we are going to go live. So welcome everybody to the stream. I hope you're having a great week. It is good to be back. Today, we are talking about the Russell Brand scandal. Now, I've been watching this story very closely, and I haven't seen anybody really cover everything that's going on in the scandal, so I thought we would do that here. Now, normally my videos are pretty short and to the point, but for this one, I thought it kind of would go better in a live stream anyway, because we could talk through all the juicy details, and I could chat with you live in chat, and yeah, just cover everything. And let me just say also, welcome to everybody in chat. I see a lot of you showed up. Good to see all of you guys. I hope you guys are having a good day. Let's start with this. Why don't you put in chat where you're watching this live stream, the live stream from? What state you're in or what country you're in, just so I can get an idea of who is here watching with us today. Was anybody watching the Republican debate before this? This is actually the same time as the Republican presidential debate. To be honest, I forgot it was going on. That just shows how little importance it had. I forgot about it. I wouldn't have scheduled it at the same time if I remembered it was debate night, but oh well, this is going to be more interesting anyway. So, I've seen everybody in chat putting where they're from. Good to see you guys. Hey, I got some fellow Arizonans in the chat. What else is going on? Oh yeah, we have some new moderators. I just made you guys moderator before the chat. Stephanie, Jean-Luc, and who else? Sassy Lady. Thank you guys so much. They all volunteered before the stream to be moderators. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. For those of you guys who haven't watched a live stream on my channel before, yeah, obviously I can't, I don't accept people like being inappropriate in the comments. So no racist comments, no sexual comments, no threatening violence in the comments. Sometimes we get into spicy topics on this channel, and sometimes people get worked up. There's no need to get violent in the chat. One time I was doing a stream and somebody was threatening to kill somebody else in the chat. That's not appropriate chat conversation. So we got some moderators in here today. Thank you again for joining. And if they see anybody being a knucklehead in the chat, they're just gonna hide you. So yeah, thanks again. Before we get into the whole Russell Brand scandal thing, what else? What have you guys been up to lately? I just got to share this before we get started. I've been watching this miniseries on HBO, and it's like an old miniseries. It's called Band of Brothers. Have any of you guys seen this before? It's so good. It's like it's over 10 years old, but it's a miniseries. It's following this this military unit fighting in World War II. And so I love World War II stuff. I think it's so interesting. And it's just, this miniseries is so well made. It's 10 episodes. It blows my mind. And I watched it before when it first came out, you know, like a decade ago. And I forgot everything that happened in it. I saw it again and I was like, you know what, let me watch this again. I remember really liking it. Watched it again. Oh my goodness. I can't recommend this highly enough. I think everybody should watch the show. Band of Brothers. It was an HBO miniseries. Yeah, I feel like a lot of, I don't know what they're teaching in school these days, but I feel like a lot of young people don't know the history about World War II and what we were fighting for and what people shed blood and lost their lives to protect. And it's so inspirational to watch. At least I think so. Um, what we did there in World War II and how important it was for us to fight for those, to fight Nazi Germany and fight for our freedoms. Anyway, just wanted to chat about that. Anyway, let's talk about Russell Brand. So, before we, to start out, let me just say this about Russell Brand. I don't really watch Russell Brand. I'm not really a fan of this, which I think is good. Like, I'm making this stream today not as a fan of Russell Brand. I think that I'm an independent, an independent evaluator here. I'm not some big fan who's going to go off on Russell Brand. I don't really watch him. I know he's super popular. Like, a lot of people watch Russell Brand. But I got to be honest. I can't really understand his accent. He has this very thick English accent. So I've tried to watch him a couple of times and I'm like, what is he saying? I can't understand him all the time. Anyway, I don't really watch him. I know a lot of people like him, but I'm kind of coming at this as just an independent observer of, what I think of this situation. And I think it's very important. I think what's happening to him is a very big deal. So let's jump in and get right to the matter. All right. So this is Russell Brand. Here's our friend. He is currently being canceled. And he's being canceled because 4 women came forward with allegations against him. Now, I have to be careful what I say on here. I can't say all of these words that I have written up here because YouTube rules. They want to keep everything family friendly here on YouTube. So we're going to go along with this. Allegations of the R word, spicy activities, and abuse. Okay? And the other thing that's important is what I have up here is the dates. These 4 women came forward with things that happened between 2006 and 2013. So all of these situations are from over a decade ago. Over 10 years ago. That's a pretty long time. Russell Brand has come out and he denies all allegations. He says that all the relationships he had were consensual. So we have these women. They've come forward with their statements. Russell Brand denies those statements, and he is being canceled. So he has been kicked off. Since these came out, they were reported in the press, first in the press in Britain, and then press all over the world. He's been kicked, or he hasn't been kicked off. He's been demonetized. Demonetized on YouTube, demonetized on TikTok. Where else? I think Instagram as well. So yeah, he's being canceled. Russell Brand, of course, super popular. He's pretty well known for being anti-establishment. So he's always making these videos and he does live streams talking about how the system, the government system, is like working against the interests of the people. So, let me just say, I want to be careful with how I word things here. Hold on. You know what? I'm going to hold that for a second. Let's keep moving. Let's get into the allegations. What are these women saying here? Here's a breakdown. Now, I read all the newspaper articles and what the women were saying. This is a tweet from someone named Jake Shields. Now, Jake Shields, I don't know anything about this guy, But I saw his tweet on Twitter, and I think this is a pretty good summary of what these women are alleging. So this is what a tweet says. He says, here's a breakdown of the spicy assault allegations against Russell Brand. Number 1, dated for 3 months, but because she was young but legal, she later decided it was the R word. Number 2, had been sleeping with her, but invited her over for a threesome, and she was jealous, so that's the R word. Number 3, was in his room, so he kissed her and tried to take off her clothes. She told him to stop, and he did. Number 4, he had sex with her for 6 months, and he did lots of kinky sex. She never said no, but she thought she didn't want to do it, so it's the R word. None of these girls will give their real names. Now, this is what I wanted to say before. I was having a hard time saying it. I just want to say, I'm not saying that I don't believe these women. I'm not saying these women are lying. But what I think we have to do with something that is as serious as this, these are criminal allegations against Russell Brand. I think we need to evaluate the facts, evaluate what is being said here. And this is what's being said. A lot of people just hear the headlines, these like spicy headlines of Russell Brand is like attacking these women. But when you look at these actual 4 complaints, I don't know, is this it? That was my reaction. Is this it? Now, again, I'm not saying these women are lying, but if we're looking at the facts and we're looking at just the evidence, I'm not sure there's a lot of evidence here. What's the evidence? And the other thing that's really interesting about this is that these women, they didn't go to the cops. They went to the press. That's interesting. So this is over a decade after these things happened. They go to the press? What? It's when you start to look at the actual facts, this starts to unravel a little bit. It seems a little odd. Seems a little bit strange. Anyway, welcome to everybody who's joining the stream. I see more people keep joining. Welcome everybody. You know what? Do you guys know what a like spike is? Should we do a like spike? If you guys are liking this live stream, and there's a lot more spicy information to get into, if you're liking this, go ahead and hit that like button. In 3, 2, 1, like spike, boom, baby. That's what I'm talking about. All right, let's keep going. So this tweet was from Jake Shields. He put another tweet up shortly after this that was also very interesting. He said, the government has weaponized the R word, these allegations against its political dissidents. And then he leaves a list of people. Tucker Carlson, Donald Trump, Russell Brand, Alex Jones, Andrew Tate, Matt Gaetz. Did I miss any? And this is kind of interesting too. All right. You know, we got these 4 allegations from these 4 women. I think it's important to put it in this context of that these allegations are coming forward in this environment where these types of things are being weaponized against political dissidents. I mean, let's take a second and look at this list. Tucker Carlson. Okay, so if you guys aren't aware, the story with Tucker Carlson is, as he was being fired from Fox, which recently just happened, there was someone at his work who was suing him for creating a hostile work environment. Now, after Tucker Carlson left, it's my understanding that this person dropped the lawsuit. So apparently it's no longer a hostile work environment. But also it came out that Tucker Carlson never interacted with this person. So Tucker Carlson, I guess, did his show from Florida, and this person had an office in New York. So somehow Tucker Carlson was creating a hostile work environment that was affecting this person in New York. And there was all these allegations and all this stuff. I don't know. It doesn't seem like anything ever came of that. So that's one example. Then we have the example with Donald Trump. So you guys, I'm sure you're familiar with this case. There is some lady in New York who seems a little bit crazy from everything that I've seen, who says that Donald Trump took her into a dressing room in a department store in New York and R-worded her. Now, this has already gone to court, and the jury in the court found Donald Trump not guilty of doing the R word, but guilty of defaming this woman. Now, I'm not sure how that's even possible. How can he not do the action, but then be guilty of defaming the person? Very, very strange. I'm sure he's appealing this case. But it's just another strange example of these weird allegations weaponized against the political dissidents. Then we have Russell Brand. We're going to talk more about him in a second. Then we have Alex Jones. Now, there's all this stuff going on about Alex Jones, but he had these spicy allegations made against him. There were actually 2 women who worked for Alex Jones who came forward with similar allegations and saying that he did all of this stuff to them. Now, it was very interesting because there were no complaints while they worked for him. These were people who got fired for doing a bad job. And then after they were fired, they came forward suddenly with these complaints. Now, I tried to look into this. I didn't see that these people actually filed any lawsuits against Alex Jones. I don't think they even took this to court. I think they just made these allegations against him in the press, which is very strange. So anyway, Alex Jones had to deal with all this. Then we have Andrew Tate. So I made a whole video on my channel about Andrew Tate's situation. I went through every piece of evidence in his case. And in that video, I just full on said, I think the case against him is a joke. I don't think he did any of the things they're accusing him of. So I'm not going to go over the Andrew Tate case. If you want to look at the details of this case, there's a video on my channel. Go check it out. I think I did a pretty thorough job there. But just in general, at the beginning of the Andrew Tate case, there were 7 women with allegations of the R word and all this other stuff against Andrew Tate. At the current moment, in the case against Andrew Tate, I think there's only 1 woman left. All the other women have seemed to have disappeared, or their allegations turned out to not be credible. So there's only like 1 woman left who says that she was being held as a prisoner by Andrew Tate. Well, it turns out Andrew Tate has security video footage of these people hanging around the compound where he lives and freely, coming and going as they please. So this story seems very fishy. Not only that, it turns out she has a history of being a con artist. Apparently, there were multiple times where she accused other wealthy men of doing the R word against her. Several times over, she's done this in Florida. And yeah, I mean, Andrew Tate's suing her in Florida because of the statements that she made against him that are false, and it's a whole deal. Anyway, that's very telling to go from 7 accusations down to 1, and the one that's left is this very suspicious situation. Anyway, then we have Matt Gaetz. Do you guys remember the allegations against Matt Gaetz? So Matt Gaetz was accused of all of this spicy, deviant behavior with underage girls. I don't know if you remember this, but he had all these allegations against him. This went to court. There was an investigation. Turned out he was exonerated of everything. None of it was true. None of it. So this was a complete smear job against Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz, who is one of the people who's really standing up against the uniparty machine right now. So I think this is a really telling list. We have all of these people who have in the past had these like very frivolous allegations being thrown at them, used as a weapon. And the common thread between all of these people is their political dissidence. Isn't that interesting? Again, just to say, I'm not saying that I don't believe these women, but I'm saying we got to look at the facts, we have to look at the situation, and we have to do a fair evaluation of what's going on. All right, moving forward. So here is the really, really suspicious part of this whole situation. It came out that the government, the UK government, has been initiating these actions to cancel Russell Brand. This is the letter sent from Culture, Media and Sports Committee in the UK to Rumble, where they're telling him, I'm not going to read the whole letter, but this bottom part, they say, we would be grateful if you could confirm whether Mr. Brand is able to monetize his content, including his videos relating to the serious accusations against him. If so, we would like to know whether Rumble intends to join YouTube in suspending Mr. Brand's ability to earn money on the platform. I saw this and it blew my mind. How is this letter legal? I mean, what's going on in the UK? I mean, I doubt anyone from the UK is watching this because it's like 3 in the morning in the UK right now. But if anyone from the UK watches this after the fact, can you leave something in the comments and tell me what in the world is going on in the UK? Because it seems like the UK is where freedom goes to die. Am I wrong? Like, I hear all these stories about what's going on in UK. I mean, UK, I've never been to the UK, but it used to be someplace where I wanted to go visit and vacation. I don't think I want to go there anymore. I mean, I also hear they're doing these like hate speech laws where they're arresting people for things they say. I mean, I don't know, if I go to the UK on a trip and I'm walking down the street and I say something like, I think Andrew Tate is innocent, am I going to be arrested for a hate crime? It makes me a little nervous. I don't know if I should go to the UK. Anyway, this whole situation really follows along what happened with the Twitter files. Now, I followed the Twitter files like a hawk because I am a big free speech advocate. Free speech is so important, and what the Twitter files showed is that the US government collaborated with social media companies to destroy freedom of speech in this country. So the government had their list of people who were, vocal dissidents, attacking them, and they went to the social media companies and said, ban these people, kick these people off your platform, demonetize these people. That's illegal. Because in the United States, in the Bill of Rights, we have something called freedom of speech. And the US government can't silence people. And they can't go through third-party private businesses to silence people either. I don't want to give YouTube such a hard time here because I actually don't think that YouTube would have demonetized Russell Brand if they had not been sent this letter. What we saw in the Twitter files is that the government and these social media companies were like working together. So if YouTube was just operating by itself and didn't have this like connection with the government, they would be evaluating it independently. And I doubt they would have come to this conclusion here that's in this letter. I just don't think they would. But now that since they're working in conjunction with the government and the government is using it to silence this person who just happens to be saying negative things about the government, it seems like a blatant disregard for freedom of speech. Now, I would say I don't think that this could happen in the US, but it did happen. It happened in the Twitter files. And here's the real implication of this. If governments can come and shut down people, demonetize you, deplatform you, remove you from the internet, cancel you. If the government can cancel anybody who speaks out against you, just think of what they can do with other industries. Like, this is just social media companies, okay? This is just YouTube or TikTok or whatever. But what if they're doing this with banking? I hear a lot of things are happening in the UK about debanking people. Is the government sending letters like this to people's banks and telling them to kick employees out of their banks or kick customers out of their banks? Are they doing this with housing? What if you're living in a condo complex somewhere and the condo complex gets a letter from the government saying, do you really want this person living in your condo complex? Or, here's the new thing that's coming. Do you guys know about this thing called CBDC? Central Bank Digital Currency. This is dollars issued by the central bank, or whatever central bank in whatever country you're in. They issue these dollars, and then they're able to track these dollars and tell exactly what it is that you buy, exactly what you spend this money on. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, what they can also do is turn off your money. So let's say that you're Russell Brand and you're criticizing the government and they don't like it. Well, guess what they can do? They can go into your bank account if they have CBDC and just turn off your money. How's that for canceling you? So, we're seeing this with YouTube, but, this whole trend of governments canceling people, this is why freedom of speech is so important, because it is very rapidly going down this rabbit hole that we don't want to go down. Now, I made a whole nother video about CBDC as well. You can check that out if you want to know more about CBDC. Central bank digital currency, I'm massively against it. I think it's a destruction of all of your freedoms, and most people don't even realize it. Anyway, so this letter makes this whole situation with Russell Brand very suspicious in my mind. This isn't just like these women came forward with allegations. It's the women came forward in conjunction with the government trying to strong-arm social media companies to deplatform this guy. That's very suspicious. Let's move on. So, a lot of platforms dropped Russell Brand. They demonetized his content so that he couldn't make money on their platforms. This is the letter from Rumble. Rumble is the one company that responded and said, we're not doing it. We're not playing your game, UK government. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this part here, he says, we regard it as deeply inappropriate and dangerous that the UK Parliament would attempt to control who is allowed to speak on our platform or to earn a living from doing so. Singling out an individual and demanding his ban is even more disturbing given the absence of any connection between the allegations and his content on Rumble. We don't agree with the behavior of many Rumble creators, but we refuse to penalize them for actions that have nothing to do with our platform. So they basically said, this thing is weird that you're doing, UK. It's very weird that you're trying to silence somebody on our platform for something that has nothing to do with our platform. You just don't like him and you want to deplatform him. And really amazing to see Rumble stand up like this. By the way, you're watching this on YouTube, but I'm also on Rumble. So I encourage you to sign up to my channel on Rumble. I post all of my stuff on YouTube and on Rumble, so you can check everything out there. I really encourage everybody to try alt tech platforms. So, I'm on Twitter, of course, but I'm also on Getter. I love Getter, which is like Twitter, but it's an alt tech platform. Shout out to anyone who's on Getter in my chat. Let me know. Let me know if you're a Getter user. I'm also on Truth Social. I'm also on BitChute is another video channel. I got a lot of people who watch me on BitChute. So, yeah, I mean, we got to start using these alternative platforms so that we have other options like this, where Rumble did an amazing thing here, and they should be applauded. So kudos to Rumble here. But then the real crazy thing is that advertisers dropped Rumble because of this whole situation. Okay, so let's see if we can follow this. So we have 4 women come forward. They have allegations against Russell Brand. The UK government pressures the social media companies to deplatform Russell Brand. Rumble says we're not going to go along with the UK government. Then because Rumble didn't go against the UK government, then the advertisers are now going against Rumble. What is going on here? This is getting a little out of control. So anyway, Burger King, HelloFresh, and ASOS has stopped advertising on Rumble. Now, I gotta say, Burger King, what are you doing? Okay, when you talk about fast food, you have a couple of different options you can go to when you want a fast food burger. I mean, you can go to McDonald's, you could go to Wendy's, you could go to Chick-fil-A. Why would you go to Burger King after knowing that they're participating in a tyrannical government attempt to take away your freedom of speech? Certainly does not make me hungry for Burger King. There's so many other options to go to other than Burger King. I ain't going there anymore. So anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying this stream. Make sure, if you're watching this, to hit that subscribe button below the live stream. This whole situation makes me very nervous. When you talk about deplatforming people, I mean, all the time on this channel, I'm talking about very powerful people, and I'm calling them out. So I'm under constant threat of this happening to me. And the first thing that YouTube does is that they block your videos. They shadow ban you so that no one other than people who are subscribed to you can see your videos. So if you're not subscribed, it may turn out that you're not able to see any of my videos. So if you don't want that to happen to you, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can be reminded whenever I post a new video. All right, let's keep going. So I think this is also important to put in the context of there's a pattern here. And these are some major cancellations that have happened. I'm going to scoot over here. First, it started with Alex Jones. Do you remember when Alex Jones was canceled? He was the first major canceling, deplatforming somebody off the internet. Then we had Andrew Tate. He was deplatformed. Get him off of everything. These were coordinated attempts to deperson these people. And now here we are at Russell Brand. So, am I the only person who sees a pattern here? So, the deal with Alex Jones. I mean, I don't agree with everything Alex Jones says. He's a little bit out there. He says some things about, aliens trying to control everybody in the world or something. I was reading an article on this before I started the stream. Hold on. Yeah, this is something from Newsweek. Alex Jones claims aliens want to make humans into cyborg slaves of Satan. So, he says some wild things. All right. Now, the thing with Alex Jones is that a lot of the things that he said have actually come true. So he's made some very shocking predictions that we all thought that he was crazy, and then it turned out he was true. So, but I don't know if I can get on board with these cyborg slaves of Satan thing. Maybe I'm just not red-pilled enough, but for what it is, there's Alex Jones, okay? He's kind of crazy. He's kind of out there. I remember when it was happening, he was canceled. He was deplatformed. I remember the whole thing. And we're like, okay, well, he is far out there. So he's just an exception Just this one time it'll happen, you know, but he's an exception. But then it happened with Andrew Tate. Okay. Now, Andrew Tate, also a little crazy. All right. I don't know if you know about Andrew Tate, but he's a world champion kickboxer. Okay. Do you know what kickboxers do? Okay. So they go into like these fenced in arenas and they fight people. They punch them in the face. All right. So kickboxers are a little crazy. I don't know why people give him such a hard time. I mean, he's a kickboxer. He's going to be a little nuts. But then you get to Russell Brand. Now, Russell Brand is like a normal person. He's like your average Joe. That's his whole shtick, is that he's like a relatable, normal guy. And so what I'm seeing is this progression. This like progression of cancellations. You have Alex Jones, the most crazy. Andrew Tate, semi-crazy. Russell Brand, normal person. They're going down the line, canceling all these people. Who is next? If all it takes to cancel somebody is anonymous allegations, don't you think Joe Rogan is next? How hard would it be for the government to find some anonymous woman to come forward with some anonymous allegations against Joe Rogan and give them the excuse they need to take him off all the platforms? You know they've been dying to do that to Joe Rogan. What if Tim Pool is next? I mean, we're getting into very scary territory here. I could be next. You could be next. They're coming for all of us. So, I don't know. I think we're at a point where we need to put a hold on these cancellations because they're getting a little out of control. Let me just say, sorry to Alex Jones and Andrew Tate. I'm not making fun of you by saying you're crazy. I think you're great guys, but I'm trying to get across the progression here, that it's going from extreme to normal, and then what's coming next is possibly very scary. All right. So, next thing. I think it's important to put this in context of the environment. What is happening in the environment overall? And of course, this is happening at the conclusion of the Me Too movement. So we had this whole movement that was very empowering for women. I think Me Too was a great thing. You know, women felt very empowered to come forward. There were some situations that came to light that were really important for everybody to know about. But we're at this moment where I think it might be that we're going too far. I don't know. That just might be my sense. Is Me Too going too far? I might get canceled for making this live stream and saying that, but I don't know. I'm being honest here. And the thing that came out of the Me Too movement was this catchphrase that I have above my head: believe all women. And now that I'm thinking about this, I mean, it was this catchphrase that made everybody feel good, but it's actually not true. Why were we using this catchphrase? Believe all women. Because let me just give you a scenario. Let's say there's a woman who's making allegations against a man, but it's very obvious that she's lying. Let's say we have complete evidence that she is telling a lie. Do we still believe all women? Of course not. Of course not. So it's more like believe all women, except when they're obviously telling a lie. Okay? It's not believe all women. You don't believe all women in every situation. I think it's more like, look, we have to protect all women. Like, we need an environment where we could protect women. I think Me Too was a wonderful thing. But it's a balance. And I don't think this is controversial to say this. I think this should be a balance between protecting women, but on the other hand, ensuring that men and women aren't victims of con artists. For a society to function, you have to make sure that people aren't just randomly going around lying about people with fake allegations. Holy cow, we got a super chat from Jeffrey Jackson. Thank you very much. He says, wow, live and in the flesh. I love this channel. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much, Jeffrey, and welcome to the live stream. Yeah, so I think it's a balance. And I don't think it's controversial to say that. And I think what everybody wants is to live in a society where everyone, men and women, are protected from con artists. That's very important. So protect women, but also protect everybody from con artists. Let me just say, okay, ladies in the chat, let's just be honest here. Have you ever known a woman who got her feelings hurt when she was dumped by a guy and then made up stories about that guy out of spite? If you're honest, ladies, you know somebody like that. All right? There are some bad women out there who will make up stories. So, yeah, we need to believe women. We need to protect women. But believe all women? I don't think we should believe the con artists. So, I don't know. I think it's a balancing act. The other piece of this is Russell Brand is a celebrity. And I have some insight into this because back in the day, I worked in Hollywood for a while. And I saw firsthand people make up stories about celebrities all the time. All the time. People are always suing celebrities with frivolous lawsuits. So the idea, and they do it to get 15 minutes of fame, or they do it, I don't know why they do it. They do it for money, they do it for whatever reason. But this is a really common thing. Celebrities have lawyers on standby just to deal with all the lawsuits they get. And so the idea that Russell Brand would have false allegations against him, that's like a really common thing. So it's very suspicious to me that he's being canceled over what could be a very common thing that all celebrities face, which is people making up crazy false accusations against them. To use an example, do you guys remember there was just recently a court case with Gwyneth Paltrow? Do any of you guys in chat remember Gwyneth Paltrow's court case? It was about her skiing down this mountain, and some guy ran into her on the mountain and then sued her and said that it was her fault. And they went to court. It was this whole court thing. It was all over the news. And at the end of the court, the jury determined that this guy made the whole thing up. It was a complete false allegation this random crazy person just made up about Gwyneth Paltrow. So that's what I'm saying. In Hollywood with celebrities, this is a very common thing. This happens all the time. Another example. Do you guys remember, you guys know who Jordan Peterson is, right? So Jordan Peterson, this big, famous, well-known psychologist, goes around the world and gives talks to a whole bunch of different people. He was also involved in a massive lawsuit. Holy cow, another super chat by R. Heath saying this would change if when a woman was proven to be lying, they had to serve a sentence for a crime they are accusing the man of. And I'm a woman. Women often lure with their hurt. They just do. Strong words from R. Heath. So wait, back to Jordan Peterson. So Jordan Peterson had a woman sue him. one of his former clients, so, he's a psychologist. So he was giving these sessions to this woman. And she said that he was sexually coming on to her in these sessions, and it was sexual abuse. And what her proof of this was that when he sat across from her, he would take he would fiddle around with his wedding ring. And this was a sign that he was coming on to her and she didn't like it. Well, that's crazy, okay? Jordan Peterson has kind of this nervous tic where he plays with his wedding ring. And I was watching, Jordan Peterson just did this series where he talks about the book of Exodus from the Bible with a whole bunch of different men, and they're sitting around this table. I watched a whole bunch of those episodes. Well, he's sitting there with all these men playing with his wedding ring. Like, it's just a nervous tic that he does. So this woman came up with this crazy allegation and sued him. Now, I think the whole thing was, I understand the whole thing was resolved and it came out that this was all not credible. But just another example. Another example that this is a balancing act. And I think we in society want this to be a balancing act. We want to protect women. Me Too was an important thing that was good to empower women. At the same time, as a society, we have to protect people from con artists, which is why when these allegations come forward, I think we should look at them. We should look at them and assess the facts. I always like to say on this channel, just the facts. Let's look at just the facts. And when we look at the facts, these are the 4 women. Not a lot of evidence there. I don't know. Now, I'm not saying these women are lying, but I'm saying we got to look at the facts. We got to look at all the situation around it, and we're not done yet. We are still going. There's a lot more to cover. By the way, are you guys liking the live streams? I normally do on this channel, I normally do the videos every Sunday, but let me know in chat. Actually, let me know right now in chat. Do you like the live streams? Do you want to see me do more live streams? Let me know. I see a yes from Shrek. Thumbs up from Circle the Wagons. Dennis Waller saying it's great. TR Lab saying yes. Coco saying yes, I do. Jennifer saying I love this. Wow. I didn't expect that reaction. I thought somebody was going to say, no, go back to the videos. Anyway, let's keep going because there's more to talk about. Do you guys remember these people? This was also a recent lawsuit with someone named Amber Heard. Okay, so a lot of people watched this trial. This was a very long and drawn-out trial. These 2 people were married. Amber Heard made a big stink that while they were married, she was sexually abused. And she wrote letters to the newspapers about this. And it destroyed Johnny Depp's life. Johnny Depp denied all the allegations and sued her. Sued her and said, you are lying, Amber Heard. Took her to court. This was a big, long, drawn-out court case. They went over all the details, and the jury sat and decided that Amber Heard was a liar. She made the whole thing up. Now just think about how horrible this is. This lady made up these horrible lies, destroyed this guy's life, took away his jobs, took away his money, took away his reputation. He lost so much money and he had to fight for years. It took him years to fight this case. I am sure he at least spent, I can't be sure, but I imagine he spent at least $500,000 fighting this lawsuit just to get his reputation back. So, yeah, I mean, it's a horrible situation. I mean, ladies, let me talk to the ladies again. Any ladies in chat? You don't want this. You don't want situations like this. I hope you realize, like, women made such great progress with Me Too. And when you have situations like this with Amber Heard, it's like you take all the advancements you made in Me Too, and it's like you're walking backwards. Because every time somebody like this comes forward, it makes it less likely that people are going to believe real women when they come forward with real legitimate claims. So we want to protect women, but we also got to stop the con artists, stop the lying. And let me tell you this whole Russell Brand situation has been so publicized. It's such a big story that if any of these 4 women end up being liars, the Me Too movement is going to be set back 10 years. The damage is going to be so great. So I don't know. Ladies, I look at like what's going on with the culture wars and everything. Women are getting a really bad rap. I mean, think about it. Women have lost women's sports. You no longer have women's sports. Now, you're losing the Me Too movement. Women, what are you doing? The left agenda is destroying all the advancements you've made in the last 50 years. So yeah, this is not what we want. This situation with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Moving on. Here's another example I think it's important to bring up. So this was one of the positive outcomes from the Me Too movement. Harvey Weinstein. Okay, we all know the story. He R-worded multiple people. He was charged with 11 counts of the R-word, convicted of 3. You know, so he did it. It was proven in a court of law, and it's horrible. It's horrible what he did. Now, this is gosh, it's so sinister what he did. So Harvey Weinstein was perhaps the most powerful man in Hollywood. I mean, he could decide people's careers, and he used that power to abuse women. I mean, it's so disgusting, and he absolutely deserved it. And this is one of the really good things that came out of Me Too, was bringing this man to justice. What's really sketchy is that it seems like a lot of people in Hollywood knew what he was doing. And that part of the story really hasn't been told yet. Like, who knew what was going on and said nothing? That's the really kind of disgusting piece of all of this. Anyway, but yeah, so this is good. We want this. We want to protect women. We don't want this. Okay, this is the balancing act, okay? We want to protect women from this. We don't want this. Okay? Also, I think what's important here is Harvey Weinstein is a really good profile of what an abuser looks like. I think. I mean, this is the real stereotypical profile here. And, not everybody always fits into stereotypes, but this is really what the stereotype looks like. It's a powerful person. This guy was at the center of power and using that power to abuse women. I mean, look at the guy, all right? Nobody's choosing to sleep with this guy. I don't want to be mean, but like, this is the profile. It's somebody who can't get a date, bitter about it, uses his power, abuses women. So I don't know if Russell Brand fits this profile. Russell Brand was not powerful like Harvey Weinstein was powerful. I mean, yeah, he was well known. He was a celebrity. And this is not saying that celebrities can't abuse their power, but it's not the same profile. Like, Russell Brand was a young, popular, charismatic celebrity, but he was always a hired actor. He was always just doing gigs. So it's not like he could make or break somebody's career if someone slept with them or didn't sleep with them. That's very different from the position Harvey Weinstein was in. So I'm not sure that Russell Brand even fits this same Me Too profile. I don't know. Very interesting. Anyway, let's move on to another example. Do any of you guys know who this is? This is someone named James Charles. So he's a big YouTuber. One of the biggest. Okay, for those of you who don't know, he has a makeup channel. He does makeup where he puts makeup on. I don't know how to describe it. I don't watch James Charles. I'm not sure I understand it. He puts up makeup to look like a woman, but he's not a woman. I'm not exactly sure how it works. I think he's selling makeup to women. I'm not like making fun of him. I'm not sure I understand it, but it doesn't matter because he's super popular. I mean, he's much bigger than my channel, so I have no place to make fun of him. Anyway, the point is, James Charles was involved in a number of scandals. So there are screenshots of phone text messages that he sent to underage straight boys trying to seduce them. Okay, we have the text messages. Really creepy stuff, like asking these boys about like their armpit hair and like really weirdo stuff like that. Okay, so the reason why I'm bringing this up is, why is YouTube demonetizing Russell Brand, but not this guy? We actually have evidence of him grooming kids. Now, to be fair, James Charles says he did not know these people's ages. But I gotta say, I've seen the pictures of these boys, and I'm not gonna put the pictures up here, but they look really young, okay? Like, it's kind of creepy. Like, the whole thing is very creepy, okay? Why is YouTube fine with grooming these young boys? Can someone explain this to me in the chat? I mean, it's so weird. So they're fine with James Charles and his scandals, but Russell Brand, they're going to take a stand? That makes no sense to me. Now, I don't know anything about James Charles. I'm not picking on James Charles. The point why I'm bringing this up is you could put any big YouTuber in for James Charles here. Okay, I'm not just picking on James Charles. You could put any YouTuber in here. They've all had major scandals. Why is YouTube doing this like double standard where they're fine with James Charles but not Russell Brand? They're fine with these other YouTubers but not Russell Brand. It's very suspicious. R. Heath again in chat. Hey, saying James Charles is not a conservative. That's it. Well, interesting point. Interesting that you would bring that up. Yeah, so moving on from James Charles. Let's use another example. Howard Stern. Now, Howard Stern makes enormous money from YouTube. Lots of money. And here's the thing. Like, YouTube does deals with these people. Like, if you're familiar with, like, watching the YouTube algorithm, it seems like the YouTube algorithm favors people like Howard Stern and favors people like James Charles. YouTube is always doing, like, special events with James Charles. Okay, they're promoting these people. Howard Stern has an entire career of bashing women. That's his whole career. So why in the world would... Okay, we have 4 allegations against Russell Brand that are anonymous allegations, and we have an entire career with Howard Stern. Howard Stern does not get canceled, but Russell Brand does. James Charles does not get canceled, but Russell Brand does. YouTube, please explain to me this double standard. Very, very strange. Let me read some chats from the chat here. Peter in chat says YouTube cannot be seen as anti-ally, even if that means tacitly supporting bad people. Good point, Peter. Stovepipe says, true, Zach. Saying the allegations are from years ago, no evidence. Wendy says, because we're trying to teach people that women can dress like streetwalkers but must be completely respected because reasons. Well, I don't know. I feel like nobody has any reasons anymore. Lulu in chat says, bravo, Rumble. Joseph says, if they didn't have double standards, they have no standards at all. Shrek says the media plays a huge part in that. All right. Well, let's keep moving on with some examples because we're about to get to the juicy ones. All right. And I'm going through all these examples because this is the important. I think this is important. What's happening to Russell Brand is so massive. It's so huge. We have these 4 allegations against him. They're destroying his life. We need to put it in the context of everything that is going on at the moment. All right, so we looked at all these examples. Let's look at a few more. How about this guy? Bill Clinton flew on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet 26 times. What was he doing on that private jet? Does anybody know? It seems a little suspicious. Do you guys know where this picture was taken? So this is a picture, it's used in a lot of memes. Picture of Bill Clinton. This photograph was taken the night Donald Trump did the debate with Hillary Clinton. And at that debate, Donald Trump brought 3 women who were accusing, who had allegations against Bill Clinton that he R-worded them. Okay? So this is Bill Clinton looking over at the women he allegedly abused. Now, to be fair, he says he didn't do anything. But is that the face of someone who's innocent? I don't know. Anyway, what happened to believe all women? Can someone explain this to me? What happened to believe all women? Why is the UK sending a letter about Russell Brand and not sending a letter about Bill Clinton? I demand an answer from the UK. I would like to know why you sent a letter about Russell Brand but not about Bill Clinton. Why are the allegations against Bill Clinton not worth believing, but the ones against Russell Brand are? Isn't that a good point? Seems very suspicious. How about this example? Joe Biden. Now, here's a quote from an article by the Business Insider. And the Business Insider is a left-leaning news organization, okay? Quote, 8 women have alleged that Biden either touched them inappropriately or violated their personal space in ways that made them uncomfortable. End quote. Excuse me. 8 women? What happened to believe all women? What the flippity flop is going on here? Russell Brand has 4 anonymous allegations against him, and Joe Biden has 8. Where's Joe Biden's letter? Why isn't Joe Biden getting demonetized off of YouTube? So, one of the recent allegations against Joe Biden, I have to duck down so you guys can see her name, Tara Reid. Are you familiar with the Tara Reid allegations? Because they are horrible. So, Tara Reid used to work for Joe Biden when he was a senator. So, one day, she was bringing him a message or something, and so she met him in the hallway down in the corridor of the Senate building. And this was the end of the day. No one was in the hall. It was just them. He pulls her over to the side of the hallway takes his hand and reaches underneath her skirt and sticks his finger inside her private parts. That's her allegations. Now, to be fair, Joe Biden says all of these 8 women are lying. But that's a pretty horrible story. I'm not sure why she would make that up. It's disgusting. And it's unclear to me why we would believe all women when it comes to Russell Brand, but not believe this story about Tara Reade. And not believe these 8 women. It's pretty shocking. All right. Let me go over this example. Do you guys know the whole story with Julian Assange? I'm going to take a minute and kind of like walk through the saga here. But most people know Julian Assange because of sexual allegations against him. There were these R-word allegations from these 2 women in Sweden, and most people know this story. This has been drilled into people's heads over and over and over again by the news. Julian Assange is a shady guy. He did this stuff to this woman that was abusive in Sweden. What is wrong with this guy? Well, it has turned out, after lots and lots of reporting, that these allegations were completely debunked. Completely debunked. It was a very similar thing to what's happening to Russell Brand. There was allegations made in the press, and here's the thing. Police charges were never filed. They didn't even file police charges. They just ran with the story in the press. And in case you don't know why Julian Assange is important, Julian Assange is currently under lock and key. He's in prison awaiting extradition to the United States, where he's going to be charged as a spy. Now, what he did was he published online on his media platform WikiLeaks, he published a video showing proof the US was involved in war crimes. So, someone working in the US government got this video, delivered it to Julian Assange. So this person who took this top secret classified information, they're a spy, okay? They leaked classified information, so they're a spy. They were actually convicted and went to prison, okay? So they're a spy. But a news organization who gets the information and publishes it is not a spy. They're a reporter. That's what reporters are supposed to do. Okay? And this is like, there's a long-standing tradition of this in the US. In fact, there was a good movie that came out called The Post, not that long ago, starring Meryl Streep. I think Steven Spielberg directed it. Who else was in it? I don't remember. Meryl Streep was in it. Oh, Tom Hanks was in it too. Anyway, that's the story of what happened during the Vietnam War when classified documents were leaked about how the government was lying to the public about what was really going on in Vietnam. Those were the Pentagon Papers. Those got leaked to the Washington Post. The Washington Post printed it. The U.S. government tried to tell the Washington Post that they were acting as a spy because it was classified information. It went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, no, you're a reporter. Newspapers can print whatever documents because their job as the press is to get out the truth. Julian Assange is under attack by the U.S. government for printing the truth. And it turns out that these allegations that were made against him were false. And it seems they were made very suspiciously. A lot of people think there was CIA involvement in making these accusations because what they were trying to do is they were trying to get him out of England to Sweden so the Swedish authorities could extradite him back to the US where he could stand trial. That's what seems to be like what was trying to happen. So, if they could get these fake charges out and get him to be arrested and taken to Sweden for these reasons, they didn't intend to charge him on these crimes. They just wanted to get him to the US. So it seems like this was all made up. And this is some of the reporting that is why people think it was made up. So turns out, okay, so there's two women. They were friends. And one woman convinced the first woman to go to the police station to give their story. So she says, she's telling this person at the police station that she had sex with Julian Assange. And so the police says, all right, man, you were R word abuse. I'm writing this up. And she's like, no, that's not what happened. So on the day, she denied that there was any abuse going on. On the day, didn't matter. The police wrote it up as the R word and then leaked it to the press and said both of the women were R worded. Okay? So the press ran with this story. Wait, the police only had one report of one woman. Well, it turns out after the newspaper article, the second woman came back to the police station and then gave her statement that, oh yes, she was also R-worded. The whole thing is very fishy and very suspicious. They never even brought charges. So it seems like this was all a big scheme to get this man extradited to the United States. And just to show you how much the CIA hates this guy, Yahoo News leaked that they had a source inside the CIA that said they drew up plans to assassinate Julian Assange. There was a formal plan to kill this guy, a reporter for printing the truth. And they were using fake sexual allegations to try and get him extradited. The reason why I'm saying all these examples is we have to look at Russell Brand's situation and what's going on with all of these things. So now we have Russell Brand. And I want to end with some final thoughts here. It seems pretty sus what is happening to him, in my opinion. Again, I have to say, I'm not saying I don't believe these women, these four women. What I am saying is it seems like the exact same thing that happened to Julian Assange. Russell Brand is standing up against the tyranny of the UK government, and they are coming down after him with allegations. They wrote a letter to the social media companies asking him to be demonetized. And these women come forward a decade after the fact. They don't go to the police. They go straight to the newspapers. It all seems very sus. Second point, government involvement in canceling should be illegal. Like I said before, there's so many, they could be debanking people. They could be taking people's housing. If we let this keep going, the government could just shut down anybody who speaks out against the government. And from what I've seen, the government will go out of their way to abuse their power. I talk about it in lots of videos on this channel. But finally, and I want to make sure that everybody understands this, I think Me Too was a wonderful thing. I think it is so good to empower women, but I think it's a balance. I think, and this shouldn't be controversial what I'm saying. We need a balance between protecting women and stopping con artists. So when you get a situation like Russell Brand that is this serious, where criminal charges are being alleged and his life is currently being destroyed, I think we need to look at the facts. We need to look at the full picture of everything that's going on and make an assessment. And my assessment is this situation seems a little sus. So that's going to be it for the stream here today. Let me just do a couple of wrap-up things. Let me just say thank you. Thank you guys for the super chats today. Jeffrey and R. Heath. Thank you everybody who stopped by. Thank you for, I see you moderators are taking care of some messages in there. Thank you very much. Also, I just want to give a shout out to my members. Thank you for everybody who signed up for a membership. If you guys want to support the channel, the best way you can do it is to sign up for a $6 a month membership on my website, wolvesandfinance.com. I gotta say, what's happening to Russell Brand is so scary. I mean, obviously, I feel very passionate about this because it's scary to me. I think this is a progression, and I'm next. I'm coming. He gets demonetized. Who else is coming next? So, yeah. So memberships really help me out a lot because it helps take some of the stress off of being worried about me getting demonetized or deplatformed or whatever the CIA wants to do. I don't know. Anyway, thank you to the members. Thank you to everybody who's given super chats. We got another super chat today from Jean-Luc, one of our great moderators here on the stream, saying, great stream. So some more in the future. Well, thank you very much, Jean-Luc. All right. That's going to be it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe out there, everybody. That's going to be it for me for today. I'm Zach from Wolves and Finance. Thank you for watching.